Jason, how are you?
Adam, good. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Thanks for hopping on.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure.
You too, brother. You too. We haven't talked in a while. How is the world up in Jersey?
Well, it's super busy. I do real estate in the Montclair area, which is it's a suburb outside New York City, and our market really hasn't changed. I know a lot of inventory is starting to stay on the market in a lot of other areas, but I'm fortunate enough where our market is always super popular. It's always super hot, and there's only a finite amount of homes in this area, and everybody from pretty much all over the country is trying to move here. So everything's been everything's been super busy.
So the market's still hot and the money's more expensive to buy. So it's a perfect storm for buyers, huh?
Yeah, I would say probably one of the biggest things is if you have a great home in a great area right now, there is still demand for it
Yeah.
because there was a time where we had this very low inventory and then a lot of cheap cash, right? And now things have kind of flipped where interest rates have gone up. It's not the most appealing time to buy. However, you still have a lot of residual people who might have been trying to get into a market like mine or another popular market that now finally have that opportunity. So there's still that residual, stream of buyers for these high demand areas.
Yeah, and listen, and rent is still high too. If you look at the metrics on
Oh
rentals,
God.
they're
Yeah.
super high. So it's not as if one is high and one is low and it makes more sense. It's just a challenging, expensive time to buy or rent a place to live. So, which is good for you. We talked a little bit earlier. You're just peak busy selling houses, which is good, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're doing multiple deals a month, always new clients coming in. Um, yeah, people are seeing a combination of need where it's like, okay, like they wanted to maybe avoid that major frenzy that was maybe in play 6 months ago. And now it's kind of cooled off. And also too, it's just certain areas that people are just like, okay, like I got to get into this area. And there's a very finite amount of areas like that, like in New Jersey. And that's kind of one of the things that's really underplayed about New Jersey is they don't realize how nice some areas are.
Yeah.
And I'm in the like peak suburb where people who used to go from Manhattan to maybe like Brooklyn, right, are now like they've made their way over to New Jersey, and now they're seeing, oh wow, it's actually an easier sort of commute to get into Manhattan. And then on top of that, you also have an easier route to get to beaches that are just as nice as what they used to even go to out in the Hamptons on Long Island. So people are seeing that it's more affordable in New Jersey and getting around is easier. So that's
Yeah.
something that people are realizing now.
So for those of us who don't know, Jason he's a Compass realtor up in the Northeast. Obviously, we just talked about kind of the New Jersey, New York area. He's also one of the brightest guys I know in terms of blockchain, crypto, kind of the Venn diagram of how real estate, crypto all come together. He attends the summits. He's been on the panel before. For those of you expecting to see my buddy Sunil from Abra, he had a scheduling conflict. He was actually looking at mining facilities and got kind of caught up with his schedule. So I asked Jason, my buddy, my crypto expert, to come in and kind of help me out on today's webinar. So thanks for coming in, Jason.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys anytime.
So you're busy selling houses. You've got all your side projects with crypto, blockchain. You just had another baby.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
You've evened the numbers out now. Now you and your wife are playing man-to-man defense. You haven't had to go to a zone defense yet, so it's
No.
man-to-man, which is good. So hey, the topic for today, I love talking about real estate. I don't know if you've been following the Inman news. You weren't at Inman last week because of the baby, right?
No. No, yeah. I really I haven't traveled since the Miami trip. So I can't wait though, because I definitely need a prison break at point. So we'll have to talk about some other conferences I can
Yeah.
attend.
Let me give you some advice
Yeah,
that I learned the hard way was whenever you come in off the road from leaving that house with the babies and the kids running around, don't ever say, I'm exhausted. I've been at nice dinners all week. The first thing you do when you come in there and say, man, I missed you guys. What can I do to help? Don't ever
that's
go in
great
and say,
advice.
I don't want to go to dinner. I've been at fancy dinners all week. Trust me, that doesn't go well. So let's talk a little about crypto. It's
Sure.
I don't know if the analogy is accurate to those non-sports fans. Like it feels like a little bit of kind of a slow time. Obviously, we got some talk with the the ether news and some other things, but it feels a little bit slow. It's like, all right, the initial kind of you know bear rush happened. We kind of come to the new normal. It's a little bit like, it's 2 weeks before NFL starts. It's like a little bit of a slow news cycle. But let's talk about Ethereum. Like that's in the news every day. I'm sure you're reading about it like I am. What are your thoughts on what they're about to do?
So in theory, it is the biggest thing that's going to happen in crypto in a very long time. So, like how we look at the 4-year cycles for Bitcoin, and every 4 years, Bitcoin has a halving, which in essence it makes the supply shock of the asset, and the price appreciates, harder to mine. Now with Ethereum, this is pretty much the equivalent. If you had to kind of make an analogy, this is the equivalent of a triple halving. Right. So Bitcoin, imagine like you have a single halving and you see what happens every 4 years in these bull markets. Now Ethereum, this is like doing this 3 times at once, because now it's moving from a proof of work to now a proof of stake. And now it also has a burning mechanism in it. So you're talking about having,
What could go wrong?
so now you're talking about, an asset that, in the crypto space, it is the smart contract platform as of now. And if you look at the institutions who are interested in Ethereum, JP Morgan is heavily all behind Ethereum, right? And now they are just itching to now start to implement this, implement all the smart contracts. And now if you look at the utility, the ability to now do transactions faster, cheaper, and then have a supply crunch on top of it, you have the ability for massive price appreciation in Ethereum, and that's
What?
something that I'm really excited about.
I think it's up like 67% directionally accurate since the bottom, which is a nice
Yes.
rebound. When is it? When is the? I feel like it's a broken record because I've been asking, when are they going to actually go from proof of stake to proof of work, or vice versa? Is it the 19th still, or we
It's still
changed it?
it's still the 19th. Yeah. And there's about 4 stages that is going to be the complete process of the merge. So it's going to be obviously over months, even years, but yes, it's going to in essence begin on September 19th.
People are funny with crypto because everything is a nuance, or you have this clean slate, but we often kind of revert back to bad habits, even though the intent is to be non-custodial. It's almost like with Ethereum is you wish there was a little bit more custodial management, but then if you have that, that's in essence what we don't want. But even if you look at some of the shortcomings of Bitcoin, with not having any custodial management, you had your
Yeah.
inability to change is also its beauty and its hindrance. And so what has been the delay? I've been asking for about a year now when we're going to proof of stake. What has been the ultimate? Has it been the technology that just hasn't evolved quick enough, or why has it taken so long?
It's a great question. So I like the skyscraper analogy with Ethereum. So Ethereum has built this giant skyscraper, right? With this very specific way it was built as in proof of work, right? So it has a specific way that it was built, all the foundation, how it was created. Now, imagine trying to now chop off the whole foundation, put in a brand new foundation with a new code without having the entire skyscraper fall down. That's what Ethereum is trying to do. It's a concept of sharding a blockchain. It's pretty much like shredding it, add in a fork, a side chain, or rebuilding it. So it's very complex. And because Ethereum is so massive, and so Ethereum has more developers on it than any other layer one blockchain by far. And now you have this just massive monster that now you're going to, in essence, like slam on the brakes and now go a completely different direction and not have it all crumble. So it's an insanely difficult process. There was times where I was like, I wasn't the most confident that they'd be able to do this. And they still haven't done it yet, but I'm more and more confident that it is going to be achieved, you know. And they've had some upgrades. They've instituted some of the burning mechanism now, so it's working. So Ethereum's this supply is, in essence, it's going to be decreasing. And it's not going to be as much inflation on it as there was. So little by little, you're starting to see that it's looking more and more positive.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm a big Ethereum fan. I mean, there's just so much talent that's on it right now, but it'll evolve. So a lot of big things happening. You obviously got the Coinbase news, BlackRock. You've got, you know, tremendous uncertainty, especially by industry naysayers who make a living out of telling people how bad crypto is. They've seemed to have a field day. Where do you want to go next? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, I think the BlackRock news is huge. You know, BlackRock is the largest asset holder in the world. We're talking trillions of dollars, and they, in essence, are saying we are taking over Coinbase. So all of the FUD around Coinbase, like it's collapsing, take your assets off Coinbase. Don't have to worry. I don't think anymore. BlackRock is now in control. And now they're going to provide institutional custody with Coinbase. I mean, it is such a tremendous piece of news that is, you know, it's really kind of hidden under all the noise of the price action. But that is tremendous. And on top of that, I feel like the SEC is finally starting to be exposed for possible overreach and just the way they've regulated through enforcement. And Congress is really leaning towards the CFTC, which is the commodity exchange commission, pretty much, to really be the enforcers in crypto. And that's great because now we're talking about actually labeling. I don't know how many cryptos are going to be labeled, but enough of them possibly labeled as commodities. And that's what I think they are. I've always believed that these are hybrid assets. They can be securities, they can be commodities, they can be currencies, you know, and trying to institute the Howey test as a benchmark for evaluating a nascent asset class, I think is ridiculous. And it's been the SEC's move of ambiguity and it's purposeful so that they have control over this asset class that's ballooned to trillions of dollars. It's not going away now. So now this has been a power play, and obviously it's not at the benefit of the retail investor. But you know, Gary Gensler and you know, his crew at the SEC, I've been trying to control crypto. And looks like Congress is kind of starting to see that they've been detrimental. And the CFTC has been a much better actor. So I'm confident that they are going to have more of a role in regulating crypto, which I think ultimately it'll be good for the space.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't think applying a litmus test of a 1950s orange grove against, you know, an asset class like crypto doesn't make brilliant sense? Yeah, the SEC, the CFPB also operates in a lot of nuance where they kind of hint how things go. And as the parties change in the White House, they kind of shift left and right, which everybody loves it when you're playing a game and the rules are constantly changing. That makes it fair for everyone. What there is an interesting piece though to your traditional crypto guy. Let's just say a guy 10 years ago, he loved Bitcoin because there's no custodialized third party in the middle. It was me to you, wallet to wallet, no big brother involved. And now you look at BlackRock, which is, you know, the big brother of all big brothers, now
Yeah.
coming into Coinbase, which Coinbase was a third party that we just inserted in there, whether we want them or not, because it made our lives easier for passwords, custodial data, et cetera, et cetera. You can make a case that the beauty and the independence and the sovereignty of the crypto world, as you put these companies in there, becomes less and less beautiful. But I do think that ease of use is really important to people. We really want to be able to get a password reset if we need to, right?
Yeah, I think that it's the fault of the people why this is kind of evolving now into, you know, here's the new boss, same as the old boss, right? Me, I'm always going to custody my own crypto. I know you are too. I've already put the work in and I know how to do it. I like having that control. I like having the ability where I can go peer to peer. I do my best to, try to be as secure as possible. I use a cold wallet for everything. Even my MetaMask is linked onto my ledger, so nobody can just override and steal my NFTs or anything like that unless they have my seed phrase on my ledger. So, but for the average person, I can't tell you, and I think I've talked to you about this, how many people have come up to me and they're like, I want to give you $25,000. I want you to handle this for me. And I'm just like, you are out of your mind. but that is the mindset of people. They want to make money, but they do not want to be bothered with learning the nuance. And there is nothing harder than trying to understand crypto. There is nothing you could do and invest in harder than trying to understand crypto, because you have to understand all these different layers. Even before you even buy a crypto, understanding how to secure it, how to use fiat on and off ramps. Then how do you buy it? Okay, what wallet am I going to use? Okay, when do I sell? What are the fundamentals of what I'm buying? Like, there's just so many layers. It's so for the average person, this is too hard, and this is where you now have companies just on mere custody alone. It's the best business model. It's the easiest business model, because custody for like us is not hard, but for the average person, it's such peace of mind knowing that their assets are in essence insured. And it does no service in the crypto industry when you hear about all these people being hacked. Nobody wants to invest $50,000 and have the risk of being hacked. And knowing that a major institution is now going to hold their assets for them, manage their passwords, and secure them, that's such peace of mind. And I feel like it's going to be huge.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It will be interesting how that Coinbase plays around. I know it's been a good week for them after a really challenging few months. So it's been a good week.
Hard week for Kathy Wood, man. Oof. Hard week for Kat. And you know what? And here's the funny thing is, I don't understand how she didn't know that was coming. Because there were rumblings about this, because I won't say I have like insider information of BlackRock, but there's been some stuff that like I was hearing, that they were going to make a big move in custody. And again, it's like, yeah, Coinbase was really at its floor, especially from where she had bought it from. So the risk of holding it was very low compared to the risk of selling it and having it go up 20%. And now it's up 95%. So, I mean, yeah, that's a tough week.
They're in a whole different stratosphere than I am. Let's talk about let's revert back a little bit to the traditional market.
Sure.
There's a Redfin stat that came out late last year, early this year. It's actually early this year. 12% of new home buyers use some sort of crypto in the transaction, whether they borrowed against it, whether they leveraged it, whether they put it as escrow, convert it to fiat to use it as escrow. I think that number this year might be a little bit smaller just because it's such a hodl market right now. Where do you see, like in your crystal ball, and I can ask you this because you've given this thought, you're a pretty thoughtful guy. Where do you see, crypto, blockchain in the confluence of real estate? Like, where do you see that in, say, 36 months?
Obviously it's hard to say, but I look at it as a tremendous overlap because I see crypto assets as a form of real estate, as a form of personal property. And really, in the tax code, that's how it's really been identified over the past few years, is that it has been, in essence, personal property. So I think this all kind of moves towards the how ownership is starting to become all digital now. So I do see the overlap. I think the hardest part to wrap around anyone's head right now is to transact in an asset that they just saw drop 80%, right? So I think the biggest caveat in the adoption of crypto and as far as transactional is going to be the volatility. And then also if you look at really why we had this major crash, once you peel back the onion at what some of these hedge funds were doing, they were over collateralizing, over leveraging their assets, and they got burned. Because once you put stress on the system, as we did, and you saw the over collateralization, you saw it all collapse. So now this actually, I mean, it's good because I was one of those people who saw the value in collateralizing their Bitcoin, with the caveat of I always said that it would be better to collateralize your Bitcoin in a market that is not volatile, so you don't get liquidated, so you can keep your collateral, so you don't have to worry about violent swings in the market. And I think as the market becomes more stable, and also too, if somebody buys Bitcoin at $10,000 and they collateralize it at that point, and it goes up to $100,000, that's a much safer proposition than trying to collateralize any asset at its peak, because now you have the risk of it going down. So I think the volatility is the biggest obstacle to the crypto adoption and transacting. But theoretically, the overlap between real estate and crypto is so broad, because there's going to be a broader definition of real estate to include crypto. So I think real estate, we have to look at it in a very different way. That what is real estate? It's not just the hard land and the property. There's going to be land, there's going to be property in the digital world, and that is also going to be real estate. And that's something where I see, as a consultant, now imagine I can take away the walled gardens that I work at as a traditional real estate agent in my market, and now I can advise, I can sell, buy real estate, in essence, in metaverses, online. It's global. So now you go from a very small market in traditional real estate to now this huge possible global market for all the digital real estate.
That's good. Well, this is the only topic where sometimes you have to really slow your brain down and really understand it. Like, yeah, that's a good point. It's interesting. So, all right, I'm still thinking about that. Yeah, it's an interesting time. I don't know if you followed any of the headlines out at Inman. Obviously, you've got the Zillow Open Door partnership. You're obviously at Compass. If that group at Compass could just figure out how to recruit agents, we'd be. I say that tongue in cheek because Compass has done an amazing job. Yeah, that's exciting. There's a lot to get to there. Just we should do, next time we do Inman in New York, we should go on and just do a pod or a webinar just covering all the topics. That was an interesting show. Feels like there's a bit of a lull. I don't know if we were all really excited to get back to meetings, and then Inman was the first time people were kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of over this getting together just for the excitement of getting together. It was a little bit of a weird one. Plus, I also think that, a lot of agents take time off in the summer, so maybe it was just a little lighter than I thought. And then a lot of times maybe I was just kind of out of it. So maybe I just thought everybody else was in the same mindset I was in. But well, that's
What
cool,
do you
man.
think was, I was gonna ask, what do you think was kind of like, I wasn't there. What do you think was the most exciting takeaway? Was there anything that was exciting, that was new, or just something that's actually being put in motion that is innovative in the traditional real estate game?
It's funny. Inman used to be this huge like tech startup conglomerate, and it feels like a lot of that has moved to the NAR Reach program, more aligned with NAR and mid-year. So you don't have the tech startup alley like you used to. You don't have some of that, unless I missed it. It felt a little bit, I thought the meeting was a little self-congratulatory, a lot of awards. Zillow talked a while. Mike Del Pietre, I'm saying his name wrong, but he was the keynote. I actually think he does a brilliant job, just because he takes these big data points about all these brokerages and says them in a really, really polite way, but kind of paints a really pretty realistic picture with the real numbers using the data that he pulls out. I think he does a really good job. I think he's actually carved out a nice niche as kind of the voice of the industry. I'm a little bit biased. He and I spent a little bit of time out in Aspen together and at a conference, so I think he does a really good job. But it felt a little light, honestly, after going to T360, after going to the last Inman, after going to a couple other meetings. The meeting just felt a little light.
Yeah.
Felt a little bit like it was just kind of a slow news cycle a little bit, but maybe that, again, maybe I was just in a mood for a couple of days. But it feels like the place to go to get a bunch of meetings and not necessarily even have to go to the trade show floor a lot.
Sure.
So
I do think it's kind of been a weird time, where I feel like this time last year there was a lot of energy just beyond anything and everything innovative. And then it's like now it's like we're back to just operating in a very kind of traditional sense. And it's almost like people in essence want calm, maybe. They want just something that they know. Because it's a weird time. It's like we've been almost through this like just turnstile, just constant like going, spinning, like new this, new that, trying to catch all the trends. And like you said, I don't think you're wrong. I think people are just kind of like just stopping for a moment and just kind of like staring around, and are just maybe trying to find comfort in just some normalcy.
yeah, well, and I think a lot of brokerages have cut spending too. I mean,
Huge. Oh yeah.
But by the way, every brokerage I knew in March of 2020 was doing huge budget cuts as well. So, brokers always think the market is slowing and falling. Right before the best housing year in the history of mankind, they all went through budget cuts in March because of COVID. And so obviously it didn't impact the market where we thought. I think there's a little bit of complacency, a little bit of hesitation. I think a lot of Web3 companies ate a little bit of humble pie. I think a lot of us in this space have kind of took a shot to the jaw pretty good, and now we're starting to see clearly again, but we're still kind of feeling that shot. It reminds me maybe like a 10% of 2008 to real estate. Like we all kind of felt it, and we seen, okay, the crypto world it's certainly more volatile than I thought it could have been. When we're up at the 43, 44 range, I thought that was kind of where Bitcoin would be. I mean, I thought 69.8 was a bit unrealistic, but I thought the 40 number was kind of the new normal. And so to go to where we did, and now back up to, over half of that was, I think all of us probably thought we were a little smarter than we really were, me included. And so I think it's been a little bit of a humble pie, but it's exciting. I do think I'm excited about a little bit more balance to the market, because everybody looks like superstars when the venture capital money's rolling in, when anybody can sell a house. Everybody looks great. In a normal market where absorption rates are 3.5 to 6.5, that's where prop tech really has its legs. Is this new stuff really going to work? And part of me, for selfish reasons, kind of wants to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great time to build. I mean, the bear market, I guess this is a bear market right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a great time, exactly how you said, to analyze kind of what everybody was doing or what you were doing, and then really just being honest with yourself about, is it working, is it not, and just being grounded and just building, because this is the opportunity. It is extraordinarily difficult to try to build and stay focused when things are moving so fast in a bull market. But like right now, I mean, as long as these Web3 companies have the appropriate funding and they can survive this and build out of it, they're going to be in great shape. And and that's what I advise everybody else to do, is to, really stay engaged in the market, learn how the market is moving. That was one of the biggest things that I learned over the past year, is the technical analysis part of the market, and just understanding when these markets are overheating, underheating, no one went to buy and sell. It's such a skill that I learned that now is helping me preserve my capital and also make some money in the bear market too, by doing some trades. But again, here's another layer here that people don't realize. I never thought I'd be looking at charts and technical analysis, but it's absolutely necessary if you want to have an edge, and to be able to build something in the crypto markets.
Yeah. All right, before we go, I know I only told you 20 minutes, it's already been 32 minutes. You a Giants or Jets guy?
I'm a Giants fan.
Yeah, this is a big year for Daniel Jones. Either he's the guy or he's not.
Yeah, and Saquon too. He's healthy. He could have one of those breakout years this year. But yeah, there's a lot of unknowns with this team.
If you can't throw the ball, you put 8 in the box, it's gonna be tough on him. And the thing with Saquon is you get about 5 good years of those running backs. Like, he needs a year.
He's got to have a year.
What's on your shirt, Adam?
The Crypto Real Estate Summit.
Oh,
we're having our next Crypto Real Estate Summit in October. Jason, you need to come down again. Buy me dinner.
Is it in Miami?
Again.
Is it in Miami again?
It's in Miami. We love Miami. That's the crypto capital of the world.
I love Miami. I do not mind trying to come down to Miami anytime you want me to.
It's so funny, Miami, you don't see a lot of guys from New York and New Jersey down there. It's like they never get down there to Miami. You just never see those guys there.
A lot of people from here, they actually end up like in like Jupiter, Port St. Lucie, Fort Lauderdale, like West Palm. That's where they go. Where they go.
I was being ironic. All of Miami and South Florida feels like it's New Jersey South, New York South. It's funny. me and the kids are going to Fort Myers next week, which is maybe like 90 miles across the way. But it's all Midwesterners. And they actually is built off of the highways. I think like 95 went straight from like New York to Miami.
Yeah,
and it goes right to Miami. Went that way. But now everybody flies. We all kind of stick to our coasts. And so the Gulf side of Florida is much less aggressive drivers, less New Yorkers down there.
But that like East Coast of Florida, it's all of us.
It's
all every one of us has that escape. Either we escape, in the middle of the year, or it's like we all retire down there.
Starting from spring break.
Yeah.
My beloved Cardinals are in Jupiter. I've been there a few times. Well, cool, brother. It was good seeing you.
Absolutely.
We will talk before October, but we'd love to get you down on a panel. Let's talk about some crypto, and hopefully by then the markets have, picked up some normalcy. So I want to thank you for setting this up and being the backbone of this webinar. Thank you.
My pleasure. And we hope to see everybody same time, same place next week.
See you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, that's okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Jason, I'm a New Jersey girl.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Princeton, and then I lived in Manhattan. I went to Pratt in Brooklyn for 2 years and stayed in Manhattan for 8. Yeah. Good. Anyway, I can relate.
I'm in Bloomfield, Montclair, so that's where
lovely.
I grew up there. I've been here for 40 years, so this is home.
Yes, it's lovely in northern New Jersey.
Yeah.
All right, nice to meet you. Take care.
Absolutely.